weedy kid who became friends with the bully, Akaash Singh, slaps us round the face with his second stand-up special, Gaslit. This comes off the back of his 2022 20-minute barely a special Bring Back Apu. You might be familiar with Singh as the co-host of the cringy and obnoxious Flagrant podcast with King Andrew Schultz. Here's Singh wearing a white hat. Think about that. Think about how cool he thinks he looks. Going into Gaslit, there was reason to be hopeful. The central routine of Apu, that the former Simpsons character was actually a positive portrayal of Asian stereotypes, was an interesting one. Would he explore more cultural and racial tensions from his unique perspective? No. No, he won't do that. What he will do is rag on his wife for 78 minutes while relentlessly mocking queer people. I should have known from the title. I should have known from the Flame Effect title! The show's opening is actually awesome. Dance troupe UTD Lash takes to the stage with a fusion of Bollywood and hip-hop. It promises a cross-cultural collision, traditional and contemporary colliding in bold and exciting ways. Then Singh comes on. He's wearing an oversized embroidered black jacket with these baggy pale cargo pants, the definition of a 40-year-old pretending to be 25. The set is trying to ooze rap concerts. What it actually oozes is a bunch of stools stuck to the walls. I found Singh's voice grating from the get-go. His delivery is bombastic. Nearly every punchline is yelled in a nasal squawk.
My wife and I also are trying to have a baby. She doesn't know that yet, but I'm working on
it. Singh is best doing crowd work, but like Schultz is less interested in getting to know people than boiling them down into the three main colour groups of white, black and brown. He does figure out a guy worked in hotels and has the last name Patel with psychic precision. It's a great party trick, but even these interactions are mired with this posturing obnoxiousness. Within the set are all the hallmarks of the self-described bad boy, punching down on marginalised groups, terrible puns, shock jock humour and a shoehorned dance around the word retarded.
What can you learn from a bee? You know what I learned? You couldn't be any dumber. That's what I learned. Feels like I'm raising a real beatard, actually.
Singh's bad boy pretensions are coupled with premises so old and hacky they could have been delivered by Fred Flintstone. For the opening 30 minutes, Singh lays out the hilarious differences between men and women.
You know, I did not know, fellas, when your girl has an emotion, she expresses it. What the hell is even that?
I genuinely don't understand how you could write material like this without wanting to shoot yourself in the head. Guys, women, they have like these feelings, which is like crazy because us guys, we don't have any feelings. Man, women are so What quickly becomes obvious is, holy shit, Singh doesn't like his wife. I mean, he doesn't like her at all. We continually hear how Singh feels suffocated by his partner. It even slips into a bit of crowd work about arranged marriages.
How do you marry someone before you get to know them? How do you marry somebody after?
He constantly reassures us that their relationship is healthy, but it sounds like desperate overcompensating. He sets up one joke saying that the fellas shouldn't care about most of the things their wives nag them about. Fellas. The fellas. Which he follows up by saying,
and it's not for the record because women are illogical or hysterical or any hacky shit like that. The fact is, women are just more emotionally evolved than men.
Emotionally evolved. Right. You can see why Singh needs to say this to avoid looking like an outright sexist, yet at no point in the next 10 minutes does Singh demonstrate his wife's emotional superiority.
Oh, I love you so much, I can't. I'm so excited to spend the rest of my life with you. We never spend any time together!
In fact, Singh goes out of his way to show how he has the emotional maturity.
I take your emotions very seriously, but the way you are expressing them, I understand that's just the best way you know how in this moment, and underneath that, I still see the pure, precious person that I married.
Matt Rife does this throughout Natural Selection, where he prefaces jokes by saying how deep and in touch with his feelings he is.
And it just so happened the guy Lenny,
in the room right next to her, remembered everything. This guy was the coolest person I had ever met. He was 97 years old, and he had the coolest life I had ever heard. He would tell me story after story after story for hours and hours on end. They were captivating stories. It was a very full life. He fought in 3 wars in his lifetime.
climbed 5 mountains,
I mean, there might as well be a sign above his head saying, "Not like the other boys." But what happens when it's time to turn this depth into a joke?
He told me he fucked Rosa Parks. I know, in the front of the bus.
The punchline is an immature flash of nothing that doesn't mean anything or make any sense. As Miles Klee says, there are no stakes, no commentary, no bite. Parks is a throwaway reference, flashing into the story like a cutaway gag in Family Guy, to let Rife nod toward racism and segregation without engaging in these fraught subjects. It doesn't take a genius to figure out. The reason Rife tells us how deep he is in the setup is because that depth is nowhere to be found in the punchline. Singh is doing the same thing. He says women are more emotionally evolved than men to cover his back, then proceeds to use that as an excuse to just rag on his wife. It comes across as clueless and incredibly stupid. Another theme that quickly rears its head is how insecure Singh is about his sexuality. When Singh gets into an argument with his wife insinuates that him expressing his feelings is gay. It's an interesting snapshot into their relationship. Singh is clearly terrified of being seen as feminine, emotional, or anything that doesn't fit with his narrow framework of masculinity. What's worse is how Singh's wife exploits this during arguments.
That hurt my feelings. And she goes, okay.
If Singh was aware of any of this, he'd have an interesting basis for a joke. I should also add, some of these feelings may be cultural. Singh was born in Texas to South Asian parents. He could explore the pressures to be masculine and unemotional in a way that is unique to him. But instead, he speaks in the broadest generalizations. It's such a wasted opportunity. Hey, my bros, my bros, my bros! Doesn't it suck when you try to express your feelings to your wife and she makes fun of you, exploiting a fundamental insecurity about your idea of masculinity, making you feel gay? Man, I love my wife. It's actually quite sad. By generalizing these as things all couples go through, he's normalizing toxic behavior. This isn't the difference between men and women, it's just two insecure people that don't know how to communicate. For the record, anyone whose mood is doing this isn't healthy, and Singh, who says all men should respond as an emotionally repressed flatline, is perpetuating static gender roles and emotional states that create bad relationships. Sorry, I know that's a bit of a TED talk, but it makes it really hard to buy into Singh's act when what he's claiming as universal truths are outdated gender roles. It also excludes anyone who's not in the most vanilla heterosexual relationship. What about queer couples, or anyone who doesn't think men and women should act like characters from Mad Men?
But wait, there's more.
The final flourish of this routine is an absolute killer.
If I took you completely seriously, I would have to beat you up. I'm not sure who you think you're talking to. It can't possibly be me. For real. Otherwise, I would have to fuck you up.
Yes, the loving spectre of domestic violence. And what an ominous little chuckle. This joke stuck out to me because Singh, who is only 5'7", is doing some Napoleon-esque overcompensating. Singh does mention how short he is in other jokes, but here, he avoids it totally. Singh could add some humility by tagging the joke by saying they're pretty much the same height, and his wife would probably win in a fight. But he doesn't. He just lets this thought sit there. Underneath that fake laugh, you see a man stare out across the audience, desperately trying to reassert the dominance he doesn't have in his marriage. It's weird. It is very weird. This leads me to a pretty big gripe about how Singh talks and behaves on stage. It is totally disingenuous. Singh, who sheepishly mentions he enjoys watching Shark Tank, Gossip Girl, and Modern Family, is clearly just a boring dude in an unhappy marriage. Yet on stage he's trying to project this image of an uber toxic alpha bro. The reason Bill Burr's act feels authentic is because we know he acts on stage the way he would in real life. With Singh, it's like, no way. He continually calls his wife a bitch, something you know he would never, ever say to her face.
I just think the bitch don't listen sometimes. Bitch, you... Get on a boat, bitch. Bitch. You can't even let me die alone.
In his big closer, Singh says he should be allowed to solicit sex workers because his wife doesn't meet his physical needs. Meanwhile, his wife can solicit random guys to talk with to meet her emotional needs. Do they even have a relationship at all? I would also like to add there's a really funny moment where he remembers he wants to deliver this routine sitting on a stool, and he has to awkwardly walk to the side of the stage and pull it out of the set. I knew they were stools! It's like he just remembers he saw Dave Chappelle in the Bird Revelation, and he was like, man, all my friends will like me if I sit on a stool like Dave Chappelle. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him go. Oh yes, I need to get my little stool. It's so lame.
But here's what I've learned. If I can't meet my wife's emotional needs, I'm a bad husband. And if my wife can't meet my physical needs, I'm a bad husband.
Right, I can't believe this is a real routine. Firstly, it's just outrageously sexist. Second, he might as well just start screaming, my wife doesn't find me sexually attractive. Thirdly, you never believe for 1 second Singh would ever do this or even mention this to his wife. This isn't comedy, it's a wish fulfillment fantasy delivered by a sexually frustrated 40-year-old who has only ever dated one woman. Singh is the living embodiment of the Key and Peele sketch where they keep acting like they can call their wife a bitch while moving further and further away from the house. He talks about sex workers and demanding his wife's respect, but you just know when he gets home, he'll put his hot chocolate on a coaster so he doesn't stain the coffee table.
Daryl, I looked my woman in the eye sockets. I told her straight out. I just said it, man. I said it. I said, babe.
Hey guys.
Hey girl, how you doing, man? You having a good time? You seen the bedroom? Yeah, we just looking at the washing machine.
What's amazing is when the credits roll, we see Singh for who he really is. He picks up his fluffy white dog and just awkwardly stands next to his wife while he tells her how much he loves her. And even then, he can't help but rag on her.
And this is our dog, by the way, Happy. Love you. And she has definitely seen me at my poorest, and then she'd nag me until we got richer.
I can't wait for the post-divorce special where he calls his wife a lesbian. Singh's obvious insecurity about his sexuality rears its head when he tries to tackle homophobia.
We would see a dude doing ballet and be like, gay! That's terrible, yo. I can't believe we did that, bro. That's messed up.
Singh says that's messed up, but what is getting the laughs here? It's not pointing out how homophobic and close-minded he was, it's when he yells the word gay and then reaffirms the stereotype.
A dude doing ballet is not automatically homosexual. He is probably homosexual.
The same thing happens when Singh makes fun of his conservative friends for believing homosexuality is a virus.
Oh, I have been fucking dudes nonstop. Since Tuesday. Oh, I can't even. Oh, God.
It's kind of incredible how lazy this joke is. There's no point, no spin, no misdirect. It's the same thing he did calling his wife emotionally evolved. He just uses that as a smokescreen to leap into the same hack punchlines we've been hearing for decades. Nice one. And for the record, when the idea of a man having gay sex is the punchline, it's homophobic. It comes down to the same basic idea: isn't having gay sex funny? Isn't that something we can all laugh at from our very normal straight perspective? This hits tone-deafening levels when Singh describes a friend coming out to him as non-binary. Again, you can see what Singh is doing here. He frames this joke as him trying to learn and understand. But where in this joke is any attempt at empathy?
A good friend of mine came out to me as being non-binary. And I love them, and I accept their lifestyle, whatever it is. But the whole thing was just... First of all, they FaceTime me to tell me. Come on, you can't text me this?
I'm not going to break down the whole routine, but what is apparent is how little Singh gives a about showing any respect for his friend. For one, Singh identifies this person who came out to him as non-binary in a routine he would have performed over and over again as a man repeatedly.
30 minutes! He had a whole rigmarole. I had to stop them and be like, yo, come on, man. How could I ever be upset at you about something like this? Fucking asthma attack, this guy. this person had. They had a fucking emphysema flare-up.
Second is how cool Singh thinks it is to be nonchalant and callous. For a man who really wants to learn and show empathy, he sure enjoys writing punchlines that demean how big a deal it is for non-binary people to come out to their friends.
Non-binary just means I don't really care about being a man or a woman. And I was like, who does, dude? That's weird.
Who cares about being a man or a woman? You do. You spend the first 30 minutes of this special talking about the differences between men and women. You clearly identify as a man, and you repeatedly voice toxic masculine traits like struggling to voice your emotions. You are literally walking around screaming, "I am a male," like a Madagascan bird of paradise. But suddenly, when it suits you punching down on non-binary people, it's not a big deal. What the f are you talking about?
Let me tell you something. If you see a guy walking around like, "No, I am a male," and it is incredibly important to identify me as such, that guy's gay.
When Singh says people who walk around saying "I am a male" are gay, what traits of weakness and insecurity is he assigning to homosexuality? What traits of weakness and insecurity is he assigning to himself? What's really insidious about what Singh is doing is he's pretending to be coming from a place of empathy when he's using that as a veil to be discriminatory. It's not only in poor taste, but cowardly. The thing about Singh or Schultz or any posturing wannabe alpha is a total incapability to take accountability. You don't find it funny? Or you don't get it. You criticize what Singh is saying, they'll lean back in their chair and say, "Come on man, it was just a joke." Hey, maybe acting like someone coming out to you as non-binary was a big waste of your time isn't showing the empathy you say you have. Maybe repeatedly calling them a man is something you never would have done if you had internalized anything they'd said. In the end, Singh just comes across thick as pig shit. He has no idea what he's saying, cluelessly prodding around with his toxic male bullshit. He's the little boy who pretends to be your friend, then makes fun of you to the bullies behind your back. He fakes towards the left, then panders to the right. He isn't challenging the status quo, he's reaffirming it. Now that's truly edgy. What makes this worse is there isn't even an attempt to write something thoughtful or clever. He could take the piss out of himself for not knowing and use that as a way of educating people. He could even talk about the pressures to conform to a model of masculinity that has clearly affected him. He doesn't do any of that. The punchlines all revolve on punching down. No wonder this person was scared you wouldn't want to be their friend. Yo, you're non-binary! That's sick, my bro.
But wait! There's more!
In case you thought Gaslit had any remaining dignity or self-respect, don't forget about the sports gambling website floating down from the top left corner. Maybe it's uncouth to talk about the way comedians make money, but I hit my limit when the advertisements are linked so egregiously into the material.
I'm filming my special right now. Is everything okay?
Namaste, Sunshine. Did you remember to do your prize picks?
I don't know when this trend started, but I remember Andrew Schultz's Infamous having blatant sponsored segments where he yelled at you about Bet Online in these really intense close-ups after buying his special back from Netflix.
You're sitting there watching this on YouTube going, I didn't even have to buy the special. Not so fast. You're gonna support, okay?
Infamous was a depressing reminder of how an audience can be gaslit into supporting commercial shills under the pretense of creator independence. What's slimy about Singh's special is how hard he tries to make the sponsorships feel like part of the show. He'll be in the middle of a routine, then get interrupted by his mum and sister calling to remind him to plug Prize Picks. Singh is wearing the same clothes in the same venue, there's background noise from the crowd. He even makes these pathetic little jokes.
You win $10,000. I do not have time for math quizzes right now. I'm sorry I wasn't a doctor. Can we talk about this later?
God bless you, Sunshine. Love you.
It's just... it's setting a really ugly precedent. What happens when the sponsored segments start blurring into the jokes in ways that become more difficult to discern? What if in his next special, Singh sets up one of his routines by telling us how he won a bunch of money using Prize Picks? That may sound ridiculous and a bit Black Mirror-y, but he's trying so hard to make the sponsors feel like part of the show.
Promo code Akaash and Prize Picks will match your initial deposit up to $100. Can we get back to the thing?
It's teetering, close to compromising the freedom of speech comedians like Singh scream that they have. Of course, Singh isn't aware of any of this, as he ropes his whole family in on the hustle. It makes me wonder if Singh's family care at all about what he says on stage, so long as there's money rolling in. Yes, honey, remember the code for prize picks, and don't forget all that material about how much you hate your wife. As if Singh couldn't get any greedier, he also plugs Bisleri water at the same time he's promoting prize picks.
Bisleri, yeah.
It's a double whammy of shit. Bill Hicks called Jay Leno artistically dead when he did Doritos commercials.
You do a commercial, you're off the artistic roll call. You're another corporate fucking shill. You're another whore at the capitalist gangbang. Everything you say is suspect, and every word that comes out of your mouth is now like a turd falling into my drink.
I don't think even Hicks could have foreseen how hand-in-hand comedy and corporations would become. Maybe Hicks would be doing brand integrations with Manscaped if he were alive today. Perhaps there are ways to do brand integrations that don't feel so nauseating, but this, God, is not it. He doesn't even need the money, and watching him use his family to make online gambling seem more palatable is just... Ugh. Does anyone even say that's good water?
Bisleri, yeah.
There. I can't hear it. I can't hear it. Even the subtitles are alive! I hated this. I hated it. The more I think about it, the worse it gets. It's homophobic, insecure, devoid of any self-awareness. I didn't laugh once. Any promise that bring back Apu could lead to better things is gone. It's also too long, boringly shot, and has the most cringe-inducing sponsored segments I've ever seen. UTD Latch. That gets the point.
I feel like I'm coming into my kind of like my voice and my everything, and this is the best representation of me in this moment.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's the sense I got from it. Like Gaslit, like you watch it and you're like, this is who Akaash is. You watch it and like you come through the jokes in like a really like authentic, like transparent way.
Yeah, thank you.